I was dating a satanic sugar dad for years. Let's call him Jay. Jay pretended to be a Christian, going with me to the mountains. I fasted and prayed with him. He knew my problem of being in period pain for life, but pretended to be someone loving me by saying he loved me as who I was. Thank you, Solution Uncle, for this verse you put on one of your videos. My problem is over. Now I know my enemies. It was on a Saturday. Hello viewers, welcome once again to another episode of African Confessions HD right here on Extraordinary Africa. My name is Solution Uncle. If you're still new, in this show we publish lifetime confessions. Usually we publish anonymously for their own safety reasons. If you do have a story to share with us, feel free to contact us on +263 775 597 775 WhatsApp only. And this is video number 2 of 2. It was a double upload today. Guys, without wasting much of your time, let's go straight into this video's confessions. There is plenty of confessions in this video, so stay tuned as I will be taking you through all the stories. I am a lady who was born and grew up in Chivu. Chivu is a small town in Zimbabwe. When you finish education in Chivu, most of young girls and boys goes to South Africa to seek greener pastures, as there is no much employment in Zimbabwe. Just like others, I moved to South Africa. Why I was moving at a very young age? My mom died when I was still a child. My father died when I was still a baby. I stayed with mom for a few years until I was taken by her brothers. They started looking after me. You know, other women, their wives didn't like me. They injected such a hatred into their children. The whole families didn't like me at all. If something is done, if a window is broken, if something is missing, I was the one who was going to be pointed at the end of the story. So my life wasn't easy at all. I tried to beg my uncle that I wanted to go and seek greener pastures. Uncle rejected. He was afraid I might lose my life. But I kept on convincing him till he agreed. I went in the company of my friend, who is a sister already in South Africa. I arrived here in South Africa, in Messina. We started staying at a compound, going to the farm to work. My life wasn't easy at all. You know, a country which is new might be a difficult place to be. I started working at a local farm until I find this man who cursed my life. He was a manager at that farm. He came from Namibia. We started sharing stories. I told him my stories from when I was in Zimbabwe to what made me chose to move to South Africa. He also told me his stories, how he broke up with his family in Namibia. The wife was into drugs, abusing him, beating him. He chose to move out of Namibia, leaving his paying job to be a manager at that farm we were working. We have been together for only a month. This problem started. I was on period pain for all those years till last month. I was on period pain for almost 10 years. I was dating the man. It was shocking. The man kept on saying and promising he was going to marry me, but nothing happened. He loved me as who I am, even though I was always on period. He liked having sex with me. I liked it too. That was my life. I didn't have any choice to move on because I believe he was the only man who is interested in me. Some might not like to be in love or in a relationship with such a lady. So I was afraid to lose that man. We stayed together for 10 years, no child. He was always lying about the issue of his original surname, meaning to say there was no love at all. But he pretended. We went to medical doctors together. They said I was okay. We went to churches. They didn't give us any solution. We went to traditional healers and sangomas. No solution. The man kept on promising to marry and said this disease will come to an end. I didn't understand and knew where he got that faith from. Staying together, we get closer and closer till one day he wasn't around. He was out with work. There was a workshop in Cape Town, a workshop of managers. He went to represent the farm. I opened his suitcase and found this book. I opened that book. I didn't understand what I saw in that book. There were pictures, but in the pictures, there were moving objects. If it was a car, you might see it moving. If it was an animal, you might see it moving. If it was a human being, you might see it fidgeting. From that day, I started to be suspicious. But I thought it was just hallucination. In my poor sight, I didn't bother to ask him when he came back. We stayed peacefully. He never beat me a single day. He never scolded me. Deep, harsh words. We were always enjoying ourselves. During weekends, we'd be at outings, going to various places, enjoying ourselves. I never suspected of anything bad might be there between me and the guy. Some other time, his mother died. He went to Namibia to the funeral. I was left again. Then there is this room I was not allowed to enter. I noticed that he forgot to lock that room. I went into the room and there was his books, his birth certificates, all his valuable things were in that room. It was eating me up. I wanted to at least speak to one of his relatives. I was stressed. How can he reject to go with me to the funeral? We have been dating for 10 years, even though we don't have a child. I was suspicious. Why did he not allow me to go? There was a diary. Inside diary, there were numbers. Some numbers of his relatives. I then called one number which was called Auntie Charmaine. I called on that number. Someone answered. We started speaking. I introduced myself to her. She said she was an auntie to my husband, that boyfriend, that manager I was staying with. She started telling me that it was not a funeral which made him go back to Namibia, but they went to a prophet who told them that the reason behind death, massive death and misfortunes in their family was my boyfriend. He was into Satanism. He finished all his siblings. He killed his father. He killed his wife and children. When it was about to be noticed, he ran away from Namibia and came to South Africa. This is when I started noticing where and why I was that sick for some time. The sister, the auntie who I called, also told me she was on period pain for her life. This made me more suspicious. I took my clothes and everything and ran away. I went to Pretoria to stay alone, but I was surprised and shocked to see him knocking at my gate, coming out and asking, "Why did you left me?" From that time, I only managed to tell him I was afraid to be alone at home. He took me back to the home and threatened that if I would be leaving, he was going to kill me. I was now living in fear. There are friends of mine used to tell me about the show African Confessions. I started following till one day he was reading Confessions. He was reading the Confessions. After the Confessions, you started speaking about verses against Satan, verses of protection from Satanism. I started reading those verses before and after my prayers. From that time, the man went missing. The boss, the owner of the farm, started searching for him everywhere, but he was no longer to be found. I moved out of the farm and joined this church, Christ Embassy International Church. At that church, they prophesied and told me what was happening to my life. The prophet told me to continue reading the verses before and after my prayers so that I can be free for the rest of my life. Solution Uncle, I am glad and thankful to tell you that now my problem was solved. I am no longer bleeding. I am no longer on period pains like what I was. I was living on my own hell. The verses I used are Psalms 32, 10-12. Oh, continue your steadfast love to those who know you, and your righteousness to the upright of heart. Let not foot of arrogance come upon me, nor the hand of the wicked drive me away. There the evildoers lie fallen, they are thrust down, unable to rise. That is one of the verses which helped me. Another verse I was using in my prayers: he who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust, for he will deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with his pinions, and under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness is a shield and buckler. You will not fear the terror of the night, nor the arrow that flies by day. Those verses strengthened me. I used the verses in my prayers before and after my prayer. My fellow cousins, This is the only way we can defeat Satan. We can defeat him by praying. I defeated him by praying. The guy is normal. We are suspecting that maybe he might be dead by now. I'm no longer on period pain. I'm now living a normal life. That what happened to me is not hearsay. Thank you, Solution Uncle, for bringing such a helpful platform. It helped me. You changed my life. May the God, the King of Kings, help you and your listeners. Thank you for publishing my stories. Yes, listeners, that was our second video for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And to the people who confessed, I'd like to thank you so much. My sister, I would like to thank you for sharing such a helpful story. We have learned from your story. Thank you so much for the appreciation. Thank you so much for the appreciation. I'm feeling, guys, I don't know how to explain my feelings. At least we have saved someone's life. Guys, I would like to thank you so much. We are blessed to be together here, learning from these stories. I don't know how to thank you, fans. Queen Sheba, Sister Gloria, I don't know how to thank you guys. Mimi, guys, a lot of names. Thank you for the work you are doing. Here is our work. We are saved someone's life. It's not us, but God. God is using us. God. So this is a clear lesson. Let's put ourselves into hands of the Almighty God, the King of the Kings, the Father of the Fathers, the heavenly creator of heaven and earth. Thank you, Lord.